بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Bidayat al-Hikmah. We start with chapter 10 of the 12th and final section. This chapter and the chapter which comes after that is about uqul, the intellects, and also chapter 12 is about horizontal uqul. So we have 3 chapters about uqul, and then we have misal, then alam al-maddi, and finishes. Inshallah. Al-fasl al-ashir fil aql al-mufariq. The 10th chapter is on the intellect which is separate, which is immaterial being, not aql, which is part of human beings. We are not talking about aql as human intellect. We are talking about intellect as a separate immaterial being, which is the highest type of jawhar. We kept saying that according to Mashhur, jawhar has 5 types. One is aql. Some people add to jawhar also mithal, which we'll talk about it, which is lower than aql but higher than maddeh, as we said. So, al-fasl al-ashir fil aql al-mufariq wa kayfiyat husul al-kathrat fih law kanat fihi kathrah. After talking about aql al-mufariq in general, then we talk about how multiplicity can happen in that realm if there is kathra. And as you will see, some types of kasra that we have in material beings cannot happen there, cannot apply to them. We will explain this. So this chapter is a general discussion about aql al-mufariq, separate independent intellect, and how multiplicity can happen there. وَلْيُعْلَمْ, it should be known. مَا هِيَ cannot have kathra except when there is maddeh. Let us start with first some examples. Why human beings are different? Why we have kathra in human beings? Our mahiyya is the same. Yeah, we share the same humanity. Why we are different? Why we have many human beings? Because human being can take different shapes, different form, different size, different weight, different color, different gender. So these differences make us many. But how then you can have these different forms and shapes when there is maddeh, which accepts change, yeah? Because you cannot have changes unless there is maddeh, which taqbalu taghayyur, yeah? So there must be a matter which is potential and takes different forms. Can this also happen in uqul? No, because they are mujarrad, they don't have maddeh. So they cannot have this type of kathra that we have. You cannot have aql, which is male or female. Aql, which is, for example, tall or short or, I don't know, thin or fat, different color. This cannot happen there because there is no maddeh. وَلْيُعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْمَاهِيَّةَ لَا تَتَكَثَّرُ تكثرا أفراديا إلا بمقارنة المادة. ماهية does not become multiple in individuals unless with being with madde. If madde can't exist there, if there is matter, and you mean by matter the principle for accepting changes, potentiality. I think this by itself is not very difficult, but then still they bring a proof. Maybe that proof is a little bit difficult, but if you imagine, inshallah, the whole thing should be easy. The proof is this, وَالْبُرْهَانُ عَلَيْهِ. If a mahiyya is multiple, okay, so we want to prove that uqul cannot have kathra, because inshallah we will show kathra has a requirement which does not exist for uqul. Kathra has a requirement which does not exist for uqul. How? Any mahiyya that has kathra, either this kathra, it is its whole essence, is tamamu haqiqat al-naw', or some of it, or outside the essence. You remember when we were talking about mafahim, we said they are either dhati or arazi. Dhati is either jins and fas, or no, which is together, or it's araza am and araza khas. Yeah? And if it is outside the essence, which is arazi, accidental, we said it can be also lazim, or it can be mufarid. It means either this araz cannot be separated from it, or it can be separated. For example, mashi, to walk, walking for a human being is something that can be there and can also be not there. To be a writer, katib, to be a poet, sha'ir, these are mufarid, in the sense that it's not necessary that every human being has them. But imkan is outside the essence. But every human being must have imkan. Or zawjiyah, to be even for arba'ah, is outside the essence, but it is lazim. It's necessary, but it is accidental. So, kathra is either inside the essence of something, or it's outside. In other words, either dhati or aradi. If it is dhati, it doesn't make sense. Why? Because if essence of something is to be many, or part of the essence of something is many, then any single individual of that mahiyya, if it wants to come to existence, must be many. One has to be many. And then that many also has to be many of individuals. So each individual is also many. Many in many in many in many. Nothing can happen. Imagine if we say there's a mahiyya that every individual of it is many. It doesn't make sense. So if kathra was part of the essence, either the whole essence, no, or part of it which is inside, like jens and fas, it meant that we could never have that mahiyya existing. If you say no, we say it is outside, it is arazi, it's accidental. You say, okay, is it araza lazim or araza mufarid? If you say it's araza lazim, like imkan, again the same problem happens. As soon as we have one instance of that mahiyya, it must have this necessary accidental predicate. So it means that, again, everyone has to be many. If you say, no, it is mufariq, sometimes it exists, sometimes doesn't exist, then we say, okay, then this needs madde. This needs potentiality. And this can only exist in material beings, not in mujarradat. So the problem is that anything which is absolutely mujarrad, it's completely actual, cannot have madde, therefore cannot have kathra. So please look at the argument. وَالْبُرْهَانُ عَلَيْهِ, the demonstration for this claim that mahiyya cannot be abundant or cannot be multiple unless it is maddi. This is the argument. أن الكثرة العددية إما أن تكون تمام ذات الماهية أو بعض ذاتها أو خارجة من ذاتها, and this by itself has two types. إما لازمة أو مفارقة. Numeric kathra, numeric multiplicity, is either the whole essence, complete essence of mahiyya, or some of it, or outside it. And when it is outside, it's not zati, it is arazi. It's either lazima, inevitable, necessary, or mufaraga. It can be there, but also can be not there. وَالْأَقْسَامُ الثَّلَاثَةِ الْأُوَّلِ, the first three parts, or al-ula, because uwal is the plural for ula, and here maybe ula is better because qism is muzakkar, so ula is better. وَالْأَقْسَامُ الثَّلَاثَةُ الْأُوَّلِ يَسْتَحِيلُ أَنْ يُوجَدَ لَهَا فَرْدٌ. In the first three scenarios, when kathra is tamamun, all mahiyya, or some of it, or araz lazim, the result would be the same. It means that you cannot have that mahiyya unless there is kathra. Yeah? Because either it's no of this, or part of it, or araz lazim. So it means that whenever you have this mahiyya, it must be kathir. وَالْأَقْسَامُ الثَّلَاثَةُ الْأُوَّلِ يَسْتَحِيلُ أَنْ يُوجَدَ لَهَا فَرْدٌ. So the first three types, it's impossible to have an individual. No instance of that can exist. Why? إِذْ كُلَّمَا وُجِدَ لَهَا فَرْدٌ كَانَ كَثِيرًا. Because as soon as one instance comes to existence, this one has to be kathir. Otherwise, there is a problem with its mahiyya. Because you said it's part of mahiyya, or requirement of mahiyya is that it has to be kathir. So everyone is kathir. وَكُلُّ كَثِيرٍ مُؤَلَّفٌ مِنَ الْآحَادِ, and every multiple is combined of individuals. وَالْوَاحِدُ مِنْهَا يَجِبُ أَنْ يَكُونَ كَثِيرًا, and in this case, every single case has to be many. So everyone is many, but many means many of individuals. Then if the individual is many, again, many individuals, each individual is many, so you can never have anything. وَهَذَا الْكَثِيرُ أَيْضًا مُؤَلَّفٌ مِنْ أَحَادٍ, this multiple is also combined of individuals. فَيَتَسَلْسَلُ, this goes endlessly. وَلَا يَنْتَهِي إِلَى وَاحِدٍ, and doesn't stop with a single. فَلَا يَتَحَقَّقُ لَهَا وَاحِدٍ, so no single can happen for that mahiyya. فَلَا يَتَحَقَّقُ كَثِيرٌ, and when single cannot happen, then multiple also cannot happen. هَذَا خُلْفٌ, this is خِلَافُ الْفَرْقِ, this is against our supposition, because we are supposing that there is kathra. And we said, after analysis, we realized that kathra cannot happen in such cases. So there is only one option remaining when we have kathra, and that is to have kathra as kharij but غير لازم. Kharij مفارق. It is accidental but not inevitable. Something that can be sometimes there and sometimes not there. فلا تكون الكثرة إلا خارجة مفارقة. Kathra is not except something which is outside and separate. يحتاج لحوقها إلى مادة قابلة. In order to belong and happen, it needs a qualified matter. فكل ماهية. So now that you had to accept that there must be a matter, that sometimes it has this quality, that quality, therefore kathra happens, then it means that every quiddity that has multiple instances, فهي مادية. It must be material, because it must have قوة for change. عكس النقيص for this sentence, when you say كل ماهية كثيرة الأفراد مادية, if you say P then Q, that means not Q, not P. Yeah, if P is Q, then not Q means not P. Okay? For example, you say every ice, for example, is white. So if something is not white, it's not ice. You cannot say everything which is white is ice. Yeah? If you say P, then Q, then you cannot say Q is P. You can say some Q is P. Yes? But you can say not Q, not P. So, ينعكس عكس النقيض إلى أن كل ماهية غير مادية وهي المجردة وجودا لا تتكثر تكثرا أفراديا. We say everything which is kathir is maddi, so anything which is not maddi is not kathir. So every mahiyya which is immaterial, what does it mean immaterial? Means al-mujarradatu wujudan, in its essence, in its existence, wujud is immaterial. La tatakatharu takathuran afradiyan. It doesn't become many numerically. This is what we wanted to prove. We wanted to prove that immaterial things have no multiplicity. Yes, there is one way of thinking. This is a very beautiful idea. There is one way of thinking how there can be aql mufariq but still distinct from another aql mufariq but from the same type. How? Nafs. Remember, we said human soul is mujarradatun dhatan madiyatun fi'lan. Yeah? In essence, is immaterial, but in its action, it's material, can change. Human soul, as soon as it's created, is mujarrad. Yeah? But still it changes, because it is not completely welfare. Yeah? It's in essence welfare, but lots of changes can happen. You can learn many things. You can acquire many virtues or lose virtues, you know. So we have lots of changes. But essence is not disappearing and is not going to change the essence. So now, Allama says, when soul, human soul, is little by little actualizing, or in other words, materializing its potentials, then there is a possibility that it becomes one day, maybe in dunya or after death, completely grown and fully actual. For example, according to philosophers, most of philosophers, when we go to heaven, they say there is no change, there is no time. And they explain changes there in different way, because they say there is no time in heaven. We are ughul there. So, if a human soul develops gradually to a level that it cannot develop further, it becomes 100% actual. It reaches the level of ughul. Yeah, like for example, if we say angels are like ughul, they are completely mujarrad. If a human soul becomes like an angel, then angels themselves don't have kathra. Okay? Angels don't have kathra if they are ughul. So you might say, oh, we have many angels. We say that kathra is not kathra in number. They are kathir because they are different types. Everything which is aql has its own type. In other words, every no yanhasaru fi fard. Everything is unique. Okay? Everything there is unique. Human beings are not unique. We are many. But if our soul, little by little, develops and becomes like aql, we are different from those which are created from the beginning as aql. Those which are created from the beginning as aql, and they have never had any potential, no changes happen to them, they are completely different from each other. But if human beings grow to that level, because they used to have this background with madde, there is kathra. So we can take kathra to that world, in other words. Because we have this label already fixed on us. Because we used to be maddi. Naam, تمكن الكثرة الأفرادية في العقل المفارق. Yes, it's possible to have numeric multiplicity in the separate independent عقل فيما لو استكملت أفراد من نوع مادي, when some individuals of a material species like human being استكملت, they become perfect, means they actualize completely. بالحركة الجوهرية, through substantial motion they grow. من مرحلة المادية والإمكان إلى مرحلة التجرد والفعلية, from the stage of being material and imkan. Imkan here doesn't mean contingency. Imkan means imkan istidadi, because contingency always remains with us. Even aql mufariq is contingent. Anything other than Allah is mumkin. But imkan here means imkan istidadi, means imkan as a potential. So from materiality and potentiality to tajarrud and fi'liya, to be immaterial and completely actual. So, if these individual human beings grow and become perfect and complete in their potentials, فَتَسْتَصْحِبُ التَّمَيُّزَ الْفَرْدِي, they take with themselves that distinction that they had from other individuals. Yeah? We have two types of tamayyuz. We are distinct from animals in our mahiyya, but we are distinct from each other not in mahiyya, in fardiyya. We are different individuals. Yeah, so the tamayyuz is not tamayyuz al-naw'i, it's tamayyuz al-fardi. So they take with themselves this individual distinction, alladhi kana laha, which was for them عند كونها مادية, when they used to be maddi. ثم. Now, the other point is, as I briefly mentioned, if there is kathra, in uqul mufariq, how can you explain them? For example, if we say angels are uqul, how do you explain then that we have Jibra'il, we have Israfil, we have Mikail? How do you explain? Are they different individuals of the same type? No, because we said there is no kathra there. So we have to say each of them is different. Like what? For example, like rose flower and sunflower, these are different types. Okay? The difference between them is not two human beings or two rose flowers. They're different types. You understand? So, in that realm, you can imagine like you have a rose flower which only has one individual. You have a sunflower which has only one. You have a jasmine which has only one. Angels are like this. The difference between angels is not many instances of one type.
Is this just a philosophical explanation to make us confirm our argument, or is there reality to this argument?
According to philosophers, reality. Because you cannot just argue.
It's an argument to prove their argument.
No, it's supported by proof. But the thing is that we cannot be sure. Inshallah, we will say later. How many uqul are there? For example, Masha'un, pre-pathetic philosophers, used to say 10 horizontal. Ishraqiyun say there are many, 10 vertical, and Ishraqiyun said there are many also horizontal. We believe that philosophically we cannot say how many. It can be 10, it can be more, we don't know. And also some of the things that Ishraqiyun said about the horizontal is to be discussed. Inshallah, we'll talk about it. So we may not agree with all the details, but so far it seems philosophically something that you can prove so far, and there is no difference. Later, when there are differences, I will let you know. ثم إنه لما استحالت الكثرة الأفرادية في العقل المفارق. So, because numeric or multiplicity of individuals is impossible في العقل المفارق, in the separate intellect, so there is no such a kathra. We cannot have this type of kathra. فلو كانت فيه كثرة في الكثرة النوعية بأن توجد منه أنواع متباينة كل نوع منها منحصر في فرد. So if there is kathra, this kathra has to be in this way, that you have different types. Each type munhasirun fi fard. Each type has only one instance. Okay? One rose flower, for example. One sunflower. Of course, I'm not saying this about rose flower and sunflower. I am borrowing this concept. Otherwise, rose flower can be many. But I'm saying they are like saying that every type is one. This can be conceived in two ways. يتصور ذلك على أحد وجهين. This kathra in completely immaterial things can be two. إما طولا, either hierarchical, vertical. Okay, you have different, but one on the top of the other. And you know, in the hierarchical structure, the one which is on the top is the cause for the one which is lower. That one is the cause for the one which is lower. Yeah? It's a hierarchical. وَإِمَّا أَرْضًا, not أَرَضًا. أَرْضًا means horizontal. وَالْكَثْرَةُ طُولًا, hierarchical multiplicity. أن يوجد هناك عقل ثم عقل إلى عدد معين. That is, when you have an intellect, then another intellect, up to a certain number. For example, 10. المشاؤون, normally they say 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. كل سابق منها إلة فاعلة للاحقه. The one which precedes is the cause for what comes later, what follows. Because you know, in Ughul, where do you start? I told you last time, from the top. I told you in Alam Madde, you start from below. Yeah, over there you start from the top. Yeah, so under Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have Aql Awwal, then you have Aql Thani, Aql Thalith, up to Aql Ashir, the 10th, which is Aql Fa'al. Inshallah, we'll talk about it. So, Kullu Sabiqin Minha, each of them, which is preceding, is Illatun Fa'ilatun Lillahiqi, is the cause which is originating what follows, what is under it. Mubayyanun lahu naw'an, but they are different from each other in their type, in different species. Wal kathratu ardan, horizontal multiplicity. What is the relation between them? They are not cause and effect for each other, yeah, because they are same level. They can be all effects of something above them, or finally reach something which is above them. Yeah. So, for example, either these are all coming from one, or maybe these two come from one, these two from one, and then here they meet. Somewhere they have to meet. If they are horizontal, they meet somewhere. Either immediately the cause is the same, or on the top they reach. But they are no cause and effect for each other because they are in the same level. وَالْكَثْرَةُ عَرْضًا أَنْ يُوجَدَ هُنَاكَ أَنْوَاعٌ كَثِيرَةٌ مُتَبَايِنَةٌ. There are distinct, multiple types. لَيْسَ بَعْضُهَا إِلَّةً لِبَعْضٍ وَلَا مَعْلُولًا. None of them is the cause or effect for each other. وَهِيَ جَمِيعًا, but they are all مَعْلُولَاتٌ. معلولات عقل واحد فوقها. They are all effects for an intellect which is above. Of course, as I told you, either the very first one or maybe something top. Masha'un believe that all Maddiyat are under Aql Fa'al, the 10th intellect. Inshallah, we'll talk about it. And, pardon? All Maddiyat are under Aql Fa'al, active intellect. Okay, Alhamdulillah, this finished, this chapter. Let me check the time. Shall we continue or you want a break? Break? A little break? Pardon? After 10, okay. So we carry on to the next chapter. Al-Faslul Hadi Ashar. Now we go to the 11th chapter, and that is about Fil Uqul Tuliyah, about the hierarchical intellects. وَأَوَّلُ مَا يَسْتُرُ مِنْهَا. And the first one which is issued from them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, is different. he doesn't come to this discussion because this is about mahiyya, this is about mumkinat, this is the world of creation. Yeah, he's above. We are talking about under Allah subhanahu. Under Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we cannot have many things at the same level right after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, after means lower. Because we said in that realm, before means higher. After means lower. We cannot have right under God many. And then many. Why? Because of qaida al-wahid. The rule of al-wahid, the one. We said al-wahidu la yasduru anhu illa al-wahid. From one, only one can come. So, the first thing that is created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be one. And that is the most perfect contingent being. Yeah? As-Sadirul Awwal, the first thing which is issued, or Awwalu ma khalaqa Allah, the first thing that God created. That has everything that is in the world of creation. Every perfection which is reflected in the creation, it has, but from God. There is a poem in Farsi which says, because according to some hadith, the first creation of God is the light of the Prophet. Light of the Prophet is different from body of the Prophet, of course. This is big discussion. We don't want to enter into that. But some hadith says, أَوَّلُ مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ الْعَقْلِ. The first thing that God created is aql. Some say, أَوَّلُ مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ. For example, Imam says, يَا جَابِرْ أَوَّلُ مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ نُورُ نَبِيِّكَ. The first thing that God created is the light of your Prophet. So, this poem says that between Ahad and Ahmad, there is one mim, which is different. There's only one mim. But the whole world is inserted in this one mim. The whole difference, I mean. And that is, Ahmad shows perfections of Ahad, but it is mumkin. Means everything Ahmad has is from Ahad. And it's a big difference. You cannot say it's little difference. This is how big? It's infinite difference. But for us, he is the closest thing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the greatest mirror of Allah. But mirror is mirror. You cannot say they are. So this is not like saying God has partner or similar. He has lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. But this is the nearest mirror that reflects him. Okay? Of course, not the physical Ahmad. That's another thing. So, according to the rule of Al-Wahid, the first thing which is created by God has to be one. Now, this one, the first creature, can create more than one. Why? Because it is not as simple as God. God is absolutely simple. Basit, min jami al-jahar. But this one is not simple. Why? Because at least it has wujud and mahiyya. God has no mahiyya separate from wujud. But this one has wujud and mahiyya. So already there is a kind of multiplicity, which is because of poverty, of course. This multiplicity because of poverty. And then little by little this increases. Masha'un believe that with 10 levels of aql, we reach sufficient level of multiplicity that then the tens can manage and create the whole material world within 10 levels. But to be honest, it's very difficult or maybe impossible to prove. It seems that they were more motivated to say 10 because of the previous understanding of the whole world. You know, they had the idea of aflak, 9 falak, like 9, types of skies. You know, in the past they had this. We say Batlamuse, Ptolemaic. They say the astronomy before that they had the like onion. That Earth is in the middle, and there are like 9 layers on top of it. Maybe the number of 10 was inspired by that on the science, because although philosophy is different from science, but there are issues in philosophy that are to explain some scientific facts. So if your scientific facts change, your explanation can change. It's not because philosophy is lower than science. It's because philosophy is trying to explain. For example, you go to a doctor, and doctor, based on your symptoms, diagnose your problem. So you cannot say, because my symptoms change, the medicine is changing. Medicine is not changing, but medicine has to answer to your symptoms. So philosophers, when they receive different scientific theories or facts, then their explanation change, not because they are lower than science, because they want to give explanation to science. In any case, number 10 is very difficult, at least as far as we know, to prove. But what is appreciated is that they tried to come level by level down so that we reach this wide range of differences. It's like a triangle or the pyramid. لما كان الواجب تعالى واحدا بسيطا من جميع الجهات, because necessary being, which is God the Almighty, because necessary being is one and from every aspect simple, basit, has no parts. So because it's one and simple, absolutely simple, امتنع أن يصدر منه الكثير. It's impossible that multiple comes out of it. It's issued from it. سواء كان الصادر مجردا كالعقول الأرضية أو ماديا كالأنواع المادية. It doesn't make difference whether what is issued is immaterial like horizontal intellects, or it's material like material species. Why? Because لأن الواحد لا يصدر عنه إلا الواحد. Because we proved before that from one, only one can come. فأول صادر منه تعالى. So the first صادر, the first thing which is coming from him, which is issued, which is created, is aqlun wahid, is one intellect. Yuhaki. Pardon? Yes. What is only wujud? No way to find any multiplicity there.
How is it possible for him to create an idea? Because it's only simple and absolute. Only wujud. How can we is wujud plus mahi.
Because mahiyya is not different from wujud. It's not two things. He creates a wujud which has mahiyya.
Yeah, but it's going down so mahiyya to be standard.
So in other words, he creates something, and as soon as it is created, then it has two sides. It has wujud and mahiyya. But he doesn't create wujud and create mahiyya.
The question is that he himself does not have any.
No.
How does he create something?
Because he's absolute. So when you create something which is not absolute, then it has mahiyya. Because he cannot create something which is absolute. Okay, so he creates something which is not absolute, and as soon as it's not absolute, it has mahiyya. فَأَوَّلُ صَادِرٍ مِّنْهُ تَعَالَى عَقْلٌ وَاحِدٌ. The first thing which is issued from him, is created by him, is one intellect. يحاكي بوجوده الواحد الذلي وجود الواجب تعالى في وحدته. This one aql in its one dhilli, dhill means shadow. In this, we can say shadowly, shadowly we can say, or shadowly, shadowy, or shadowy. Pardon? It's like friend and friendly. Shadowy, okay. In this shadowy being is yuhaki, means like relaying to us, showing to us, reflecting. Maybe the best thing is to say reflecting. This is reflecting one wujud that Allah has, but Allah's wujud is wajib, necessary. So this is one under God and reflects God. But how does it reflect 100%? No, of course. It can never reflect God as God is. It's just shadowy reflection of God. You know, every person's shadow is his shadow. Yeah? And if you are careful, even by looking at shadow, you can see whose shadow is this. For example, we can understand this is the shadow of a human being, or shadow of an animal, or shadow of a flower. But among human beings, we can understand this shadow of a child or shadow of an adult. But if you are more careful, you can say this shadow a man or woman. But if you are very, very precise, even you can say this shadow of Zayd or shadow of Amr. Maybe a mother, by looking at the shadow of children, understand which child is this. Okay? So, this first being is the best shadow of God. But it's just shadow. So, must be proud eternally and absolutely that it's shadow of God. And me and you must be proud and eternally that we are very limited shadow of God, if we are. But He created us as shadow. The credit goes to Him. The main thing is that now you make yourself better shadow. Can you improve this shadow or not? Yes. No. Tablet and pen might be brought into this scenario, but that is not very much philosophical. And maybe we can say that they are different levels of knowledge of God. So maybe you can keep them in the realm of lahut, not coming to this realm of creation. Okay? It's the same. That's maybe still higher than this. It's about God, not about creature. We are talking about creatures. So let me finish this paragraph and then we can have a break. I repeat, فَأَوَّلُ صَادِرٍ مِنْهُ ta'ala. Everything is sadir, but the first sadir from him. Yeah, every creature is issued, it's coming from God. But the first one is aqlun wahid, is one intellect, yuhaki, which is reflecting, somehow resembling. Yuhaki is yushabih, yubahi, or reflect. But how? بِوُجُودِهِ الْوَاحِدْ الظِّلِّ, with its one single being which is shadowy, it reflects necessary being of God which is one. In fi wahdati means in its singleness, in its oneness. So this is one, God is one, but God is wajib, and this is one, but it's not wajib, and this is shadow of that one. Okay, inshallah we continue in the next session. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.